Ini yang mungkin orang-orang tuh jadi kayak meng-abuse gitu ya, hashtag sekadar mengingatkan.
Oh ada ya?
Lu mau ngingetin apa mau maksain pendapat lo?
Oh ada hashtag sekadar mengingatkan tuh ada?
Ada hashtagnya, tapi kan intinya kayak ya kan gue cuma ngingetin aja Ci misalnya atau apa.
Yeah,
atau
it's not your place, right?
Yeah, and also because kayak misalnya gini, gue sampai kadang-kadang kayak mengingatkan siapa. Kalau misalnya lu ngingetinnya caranya nanti lu masuk neraka, lu berbuat dosa, lu nanti apa datengin azab atau apa segala macam. Lu mau ngingetin siapa kalau kayak gitu?
Iya.
Like, do you think it's relevant for me?
Iya. Halo semuanya. Welcome lagi di Over Coffee bersama saya Farina Situmorang dan kita sudah kedatangan tamu di sini, Andrea Gunawan, seorang content creator. But first, thank you so much Pensif udah menyediakan kantornya dipakai jadi lokasi syuting Over Coffee. And we're gonna have a great conversation today. Pakai minum kopi juga, kopi atau air putih. Okay, alright. Let's just start ya. Andrea, how are you today?
Great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, I really admire you actually. Kenapa? Karena kalau aku baca tuh ya, almost every single content you put out in social media, it feels like you really share a lot about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And kadang-kadang sampai aku, wow, you are so open. Gitu kayak, you're so open about yourself, about many things that for a lot of people itu tuh kayak biasanya mereka nggak share, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you do share. So tell me why and how come you do this gitu?
To a point where I overshare. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I'm an open book.
Yeah.
That's how I identify myself. Itu udah lama banget emang sebenarnya. And like my mom juga suka bilang sih kayak I'm an open book to my mom. Jadi saking deketnya, saking opennya sampai my mom kadang-kadang kayak I don't need to know that.
Yeah.
Like why are you telling me this? Keep it to yourself. Not everything has to be shared.
Yeah.
Oke, jadi gue kayak kadang-kadang mungkin jadinya
ini
ke
dari
media
kecil kayak gitu.
Dari kecil, jadi ke media sosial tuh mungkin gue juga weaknessnya adalah kadang-kadang jadi nggak tahu boundary. Jadi nggak tahu boundary sama diri sendiri, yang mana yang sebaiknya di-share, yang mana sebaiknya enggak. Cuma menurut gue biasanya kalau gue share sesuatu, gue tuh pengen ada lessons learn-nya yang bisa audience gue ambil. Sebenarnya sih itu dari keterbukaan gue.
Like, but how? Okay, so kalau sekarang kan sepertinya ya, I mean, you're open about your relationship. You're open about a lot of different views sampai bikin dunia
geger.
Dunia Twitter atau social media tuh bisa heboh gitu ya. You're also open about things that people are not very open about. Misalnya breast implant, you know, whatever things you do with your face. I'm like, wow, like it's really I think it's admirable because I think it's very courageous. It's very brave and not a lot of people do that gitu ya. And maksudnya ini emang, do you even try? Like maksudnya, do you even try to be that open? Maksudnya kayak, for you is this even courage atau emang emang udah biasa aja?
It comes
gitu?
to me naturally sebenarnya. Jadi kalau misalnya talking about breast implants misalnya, buat gue untuk nge-share itu, it's not something that is taboo atau gue ashamed about because I'm actually proud of it. I bought them. Dan bukan cuma itu juga, karena gini, when I was lagi gathering resources and then info-info tentang breast implants for example, gue nggak ada sumber yang gue bisa ngajak ngobrol langsung. Gue nggak ada sumber yang bisa ngasih lihat gue hasilnya seperti apa. Dan gue kan nggak berani ya, itu kan it's something that lumayan life altering karena it's something that's put inside my body and it's gonna change how I look. Jadi gue tuh waktu itu akhirnya ketemu satu orang, dia influencer juga. She's actually an American, but she lives in Korea. Dan pada waktu itu dia disponsorin untuk breast implants. Dan gue akhirnya jadi ketemu dia, gue ngobrol. Dan dia open banget sama semua procedure-nya. Even yang dia nggak share di YouTube, misalnya before after, dia kasih lihat gue strugglesnya dia apa segala macam. So I promised myself kalau sampai akhirnya gue berani nih, gue ngelakuin ini, I would be her. I would become the source of reliable information. Karena gue tahu betapa susahnya orang-orang untuk dapetin informasi seperti itu. Sesimpel itu sih sebenarnya kenapa gue share gitu. Dan juga ini sesimpel sereceh kenapa kalau misalnya gue share soal treatments atau soal anything what I wear apa segala macam, gue most likely gue akan share harganya. Dan follower gue tuh appreciate karena ya udah mereka nggak usah harus ke Shopee dulu atau nggak harus ke toko dulu untuk tahu harganya berapa untuk make decision. I wanna buy this karena udah ada harganya di situ. As receh as that sebenarnya. Kenapa gue share a lot of information?
Ini kayak gitu. User experience ya. Jadi instead of multiple clicks, lu cuma ngelihat sekali konten lo aja and then it's already there, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're a good UX designer actually.
Langsung cuma itu doang ya, langsung ada decision makingnya langsung cepet
udah langsung
di situ.
Tinggal beli, udah ada linknya, tinggal diklik, right? Okay. But it's how different are you with what you're sharing on social media and you are with the people closest to you? Seberapa bedanya nih? Maksudnya because for me you're already very open, right? And kalau di social media aja se-open itu, I mean, are you any different with any other people?
Nope, the same.
Sama?
I'm pretty consistent.
Okay.
Soalnya gini, have you, there's a term, right? The way you do anything is the way you do everything. And buat gue, it applies to me as well. Jadi gue open that much on social media and with my friends and families and closest circle lah pokoknya. I'm very open juga and very honest and transparent. And sometimes, another weakness that I've been told about myself is that jadi a lack of filtering sebenarnya. Jadi mungkin ada the things that I'm not supposed to say sebelum dipikir. Maksudnya dipikir and diresapi baik-baik. Dan itu akhirnya gue belajar juga dari teman-teman gue yang kayaknya maybe it's better for you next time untuk digest it first. Whatever emotions, whatever feelings you're feeling, jangan langsung dikeluarin, diutarakan ke orang, misalnya. Because feelings and emotions they change, right? Yeah. Gitu.
Has it ever backfired?
Backfired, of course. Kalau bilang backfired, cause gimana ya? Mungkin kalau on social media jadinya kayak they think they know me, they know a lot of who I am. Even though sebenarnya kan gue tetap filter juga sih kalau di social media. It's not kayak gue like a piece of round cake. Gue nggak cuma semuanya langsung nih. Of course semuanya ada yang udah di curate segala macam juga sih. Jadi kalau backfire ya ada aja. But the thing is I keep reminding myself that you only see what I choose to show kan. Jadi
not semuanya juga lah ya. Maksudnya so meaning that look, who you are on social media is also not all of you. Right?
Kalau social media for sure.
You're consistent, but there's more to you than your social media image. Right?
For sure.
Something like that. What has been changing? Kan kamu jadi content creator udah berapa lama?
2018.
Udah dari 2018. Sekarang udah hampir 5 tahun, right? Berarti kan almost 5 years. Maksudnya with all these lessons, udah ada yang backfire, ada yang bagus hasilnya, and obviously it makes you who you are. Anything that has changed?
I think the only thing that's changed for me is how I respond to people, especially the ones yang kalau criticize gue masih bisa terima. Kalau yang udah ngata-ngatain, itu gue responnya lebih mendingan. Jadi kalau dulu mungkin awal-awal kayak masih kaget nih main medsos ya gitu, gue masih bisa gue share balik gitu loh. Kayak
share
nanti
balik tuh gimana tuh?
As in, I could bukan humiliate, tapi lebih kayak, hey, everyone, you gotta see this person. This one is attacking me and talking shit about me.
You're exposing them.
Yeah. Tapi kalau sekarang lebih kayak, I try to agree with them. Whatever they say about me, gue agree dulu aja deh. Biar cepet. And also bukan biar cepet juga. Because kayak there's a part of, kalau emang it's true, I own it. Jadi kayak ya udah. Kayak misalnya there's a content that I put out gitu. Ada yang nanya juga soalnya, Cici kok bisa traveling mulu? And then I respond to them by saying, well, the perks of having money and no kids. Gue bilang kayak gitu. And then terus ada yang komen lagi. Yang komen tuh bilang, berarti lu gak mampu kan punya anak? True. So I say, emang gue gak mampu. Makanya gue tahu kapasitas gue. Dan gue membuat pilihan-pilihan yang bertanggung jawab sesuai kapasitas gue. So you're right.
Yeah, right. Terus begitu digituin mereka diem aja.
Yeah,
They don't respond.
mau bilang apa lagi? Kan gue agree, gue nggak disagree.
Alright, so I think this is another thing I admire about you. I think the way you respond to internet trolls atau haters gitu ya, it's quite admirable. Kayak maksudnya gue agak kagum sih dengan respon-respon lo kadang-kadang gitu. Maksudnya kayak, wow, that's a really good way to answer. Maksudnya what's your thought process and how do you deal with these bullies atau these trolls, these haters itu? I mean, yes, so the first one is you agree to them. If it's right, then you agree with. Terus apa lagi?
Ya, jadi aside from agreeing, gue tuh berangkatnya dari curiosity sebenarnya. Gue pengen tahu. Gue biasanya akan coba kalau emang orangnya willing, kalau kira-kira mereka masih mau nih komunikasi, gue akan coba cari tahu sih kenapa mereka berpikir seperti itu.
Mikirnya bisa nyampe gitu.
Sebenarnya itu aja sih. I just wanna know where you're coming from. And most of the time, biasanya kalau trolls itu atau bullies, mereka, what I find is they just project. They're just projecting their insecurity, their doubts onto me or onto other people yang mereka rasa kayaknya kok opini lo bisa kayak gitu deh. And then gue udah telanjur, hidup gue udah terlalu begini nih, gimana dong? And then most of the time juga based on conversations that I had with my friends yang suka kena trolls gini, mereka juga agree sih ada banyak kejadian di mana orang-orang mereka punya masalah di rumah, and then mereka just lash out on the internet aja karena nggak tahu mau kemana lagi. Dan gitu akhirnya mereka ini di-expose misalnya sama teman-teman gue, mereka akhirnya minta maaf sendiri. Oh sorry, I actually have marital problems at home. Terjadi curhat gitu loh, anak gue begini. Jadi akhirnya ya sorry banget ya, sebenarnya itu nggak maksud kayak gitu. Banyak banget yang kayak gitu. Apalagi kalau misalnya kayak teman-teman gue approach-nya, mereka akhirnya kasih giveaway berupa uang. OVO, GoPay, segala macam. Itu nanti ada tuh yang bisa nge-scroll di bawah, ada yang kayak manis-manis, tahu tuh di scroll tuh yang ngata-ngatain di atas.
Oh wow.
Ya jadi I think gimana ya?
It's not a reflection of who they are as people, I guess in a way, tapi juga it's a reflection of how they feel at that time, right? Ya mungkin aja emang orangnya juga bisa juga ya, orangnya juga gak baik-baik banget lah. But at the same time, I mean most of the time it's a projection of how they feel. It's just an emotional reaction most of the time gitu ya.
Iya, dan biasa experience-nya gimana. Karena misalnya juga gini, like gue waktu itu cuma nanya doang nih di Twitter. Gaji pertama itu memang harus ya dikasih ke orang tua. Itu rame banget dan pada ngatain gue.
Really?
Ngatain gue anak durhaka. It's just the question that I threw. Gue cuma nanya, gaji pertama memangnya harus dikasih ke orang tua. Tapi jawabannya kenapa harus kayak ngata-ngatain gue anak durhaka.
Iya. Apa hubungannya?
Apa hubungannya sama gue?
Iya. You're just asking a question.
Ya. Jadi gue kayak, nah itu gue juga mikir jadinya kan, berarti orang-orang kayak kenapa mereka ke-trigger banget. Sampai harus marah-marah dan attack balik.
Yeah. And I think we talk about this before we jump into this podcast. Kenapa reaksi mereka itu sangat disproportionate, gak sebanding dengan, ya maksudnya gini, kalau lo nanya doang di Twitter, jawabannya harusnya kan gak sampai semarah itu ya.
Iya.
There's something about that yang bikin kenapa reaksi mereka tuh sampai jauh banget di atas yang ya mungkin yang normal reaction lah gitu kan. Berarti kan apa sih gitu? Is it like there's some emotional issue atau apa nggak tahu juga, atau it really hurts them or really hurt their identity gitu kan. Jadi kayak bener-bener menyerang tuh di level identitas, sampai kayak mereka tuh segitu identify-nya kah dengan topik ini sampai mereka tuh bisa segitunya gitu kan, nggak tahu juga.
Nah, speaking of that juga, jadi gue ingat ada teman gue atau misalnya kayak gue nge-tweet apa segala macam, nanti orang kan marah banget. Itu kayak mereka tersinggung banget, and then we ask them kayak, why do you feel so offended? We're not talking about you. If that's kalau emang ini menurut lo nggak cannot be applied to your life, lo nggak find this relevant, dan kenapa lo harus marah-marah? Menurut gue, lo marah-marah soal ini berarti menurut lo mungkin ada relevansinya dikit ke kehidupan lo, and you take this so personally. Padahal when we're tweeting this, gue gak kenal lu men.
Iya, gak ada kenal.
Gimana gue mau ngatain lo? I didn't even know you existed. Atau bahkan kayak gue even gak tahu lu siapa karena lu pakai anon account, right? Jadi kayak,
like,
come on.
Interesting. So I think a lot of the questions, maksudnya gini, orang tuh kalau ngasih advice ya, dealing with haters, dealing with bullies, dealing with trolls, like, oh don't take it personally. Don't take things too personally. Udah gak usah dibawa masukin hati. Well, I think first-hand experience is that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Right? Itu susah banget. Apalagi nanti misalnya mereka tiba-tiba kepo-kepoin Andrea, abis itu attack like, ya tekan
jadi
lo gini. Ya, jadinya kayak, oh gini lo gitu. Jadinya dia benar-benar attack your life, your personal story, your own experiences. Jadinya, and it's really difficult to not take those things personally, right? How do you deal with that? Kamu selama ini gimana kalau digituin?
I go to therapy. My therapist is such a savior. But anyway, dia selalu remind me untuk selalu go back to my support system for sure. My family, my loved ones, my partners, segala macam. Jadi if tiba-tiba akhirnya jadi bikin insecure, I can talk to them about it, about my concerns, about how I'm feeling, and they usually akhirnya validate juga segala macam and reassure me that I know who I am. What they're saying about me does not define who I am as a person. It's really hard to do, but it's helpful to help. No, it's helpful to have a support system buat bantu reality check juga sih sebenarnya.
Right. Well, my therapist actually told me that I am not responsible for the versions of me in other people's heads.
Yes.
Right. Jadi kayak, well, itu bukan. I don't know why they come up with that version of me, but okay, itu bukan gue juga yang bikin. I'm not responsible for that. I think that kind of makes it easier. And also for me, gue pernah juga di attack juga, tapi nggak, this completely different level than you, right? Because like I don't share too much of my own things as much as you do. So I don't get attacked as much. But there are certain comments yang tiba-tiba nggak enak atau trolling or whatever tanpa ngelihat konteks besarnya gitu ya. Itu kan sering banget kayak gitu. Nah, I was also advised to pertama ya memang itu tadi kita udah bahas ya kayak it's just an emotional projection. Ini kayak orang lagi mungkin pada saat itu dia lagi marah, dia lagi kesel, dia lagi sedih, dia lagi frustrasi gitu, and then the first thing that they saw is your content, and then they will do that. So when they do that, mereka attack kita tanpa ada basis yang jelas, then either they identify with it so much, or again it might not be true, right? Karena itu hanya emotional reaction mereka aja, dan you shouldn't probably validate that gitu kan. And easier said than done, right? Like once you see it, I'm like, aduh, gimana nggak kesel nih baca kayak gini, right? It was very, very difficult. Okay, interesting. So you talk about your support system. You share more with them, right? Tadi kita udah ngomongin soal boundaries juga, and like did you also have to set boundaries with the people you're closest to, because obviously your boundary itu udah lumayan porous maybe, right? It's quite porous to your followers, but to them itu gimana? I mean, are you any different?
Nope, not any different. Tapi lebih kayak gimana ya? I would consider there are things that are my privacy that I don't share with my followers, and especially misalnya my privacy regarding the struggles, or misalnya the fights that I have with my partner. Of course, it's normal to have arguments. Kan every couple has ups and downs lah ya. Dan I feel like kalau yang itu mungkin nggak perlu sih. Unlike misalnya, those people yang kelihatannya baik-baik aja, their marriage is just so happy, and then tiba-tiba bam, di stories kok jadi berantem gitu antara husband and wife, and then because tiba-tiba ada orang lain misalnya whatever. So kalau gue sih I draw boundary di situ sih, gue nggak, I do not share that, because buat apa? Unless after ada discussion with my partner misalnya, can there be anything to be learned here gitu loh. Kalau misalnya kira-kira ini bisa gue share, can I share this? just this part misalnya untuk yang bisa kayak lessons learned yang gue pelajari dari hal ini gitu, lebih ke situ aja sih.
Right. No, that's a very good point. I think I do like that about when you're sharing your story about your relationship gitu kan. You share, I mean it's very nice and you seem to be very in love with your partner. Terus kadang-kadang tuh kita tuh suka malas ngelihat orang yang mungkin ya kelihatannya sharingnya ya kayak tadi bagus-bagus gitu, tiba-tiba ada kayak Insta story-nya tuh yang benar-benar ini baru definition overshare ya. Jadi kayak berantem di kamar tidur tapi di post and di publicize ke semua orang gitu kan. Look, I mean it's your call. I mean obviously if your partner is okay with that, that's fine, right? Tapi that happens quite a bit. And that's the difference between, you know, consciously sharing what you want versus like, you know, emotionally projecting atau sharing things yang, I mean, I'm sure that's not very healthy.
Ya, dan maksud gue kalau orang-orang yang nge-share kayak gitu, ini faedahnya apa dan mau dibawa kemana menurut gue. Kalau misalnya tadi gue kan lebih kayak, oh this is the lessons that I've learned personally gitu loh. Maybe you guys would find it helpful. Maybe you guys can relate to this. Tapi kalau misalnya cuma berantem doang, gue kayak terus lu mau audience lu taking sides atau gimana? Tapi kan
buat apa?
Kalau
gitu
audience
kan?
taking sides juga terus bisa apa? Bantu apa di kehidupan lu kan? Jadi gue jadi bingung kalau kayak gitu. Iya bener sih.
It's so interesting ya how people behave ya on social media. I think they nggak tahu ya kayak either they're I don't know, people who do that, sometimes I think like, how happy can you be in your real life when you have to take every single fight atau every single opinion tuh juga mesti di-publicize, minta validasi dari orang lain, right? I think when it comes to you, I think you're just sharing your preferences, you're just sharing your opinions. I don't think you are seeking validation. And I think this is the thin line, but you know, I mean, sure, you're like, likes, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, the thing is about tadi mau seeking validation, it's a slippery slope banget, even for me juga. Dan itu yang gue discuss with my therapist juga, with my partner about it. Karena gue harus very careful. Karena I'm not gonna lie, I'm attention whore. Jadi, tapi to a degree ya, I think we are all.
Of course.
We are all seeking attention.
If we're not seeking attention, we're not going to do this podcast. Like,
touche.
Let's have a close discussion, right? Ngapain juga ini di-share, right?
Yeah, touche. Makanya to a certain extent, makanya. Nah, tapi yang slippery slope-nya adalah ya tadi yang lo bilang sih, supaya gue nggak kayak ngelakuin ini, supaya gue bisa dipandang lebih atau apa gitu loh sebenarnya. Itu validation emang apa ya? It's like a drug, man. Yang
of course.
very bikin
Yeah.
addicted banget sebenarnya, dan itu unhealthy. Dan makanya I took a week off Instagram last week actually. Dan it felt so liberating because gue mikir kayak anjir, hidup tuh enak banget ya, ternyata nggak ada kayak keharusan untuk nge-share apa to keep up with the engagement. Gue kayak I wish I could live this life, but unfortunately my main source of income is still from Instagram. Jadi kayak yaudahlah, I need to find a balance lah jadinya.
Right. I don't want to be crude, but probably this question will come off as crude. But you know, you feel like this, you know, openness that you have, gitu ya, it's good for your content creation business. Like, I mean, obviously, right? Because it seems like it's resonating. So it's good for business too to state things yang mungkin buat orang-orang kayak, I mean, does this really have to be discussed, right? Because it's quite polarizing. I know it's your opinion, tapi do you do it also because it's actually good for your engagement?
Not entirely. Jadi gini, sometimes I do share things that yang tadi polarizing misalnya. Itu sebenarnya lebih kayak gue tuh cuma mau ngasih tahu loh bahwa everybody, you guys have choices. Ini everybody ya, regardless of gender or sexual orientation, you guys have a choice. Udah itu aja sih sebenarnya. Regardless kalau akhirnya tiba-tiba ya jadi viral atau apa, itu honestly ya I wouldn't say I can predict that because nobody can juga sih sebenarnya. So I'm just doing that. Kayak capek gitu loh, kadang-kadang gue kayak harus ngingetin terus gitu. You guys have a choice. You don't have to fall into the trap of yang kayak hidup tuh harus kayak gitu loh, ada template-nya. Gak semua orang harus kayak gitu kan.
but you make it, so you just want to share that piece of information atau the lessons that you have learned. Kalau hidup tuh harusnya nggak seperti itu, right?
It's the rebellious side of me.
right. But it's also like at the end of the day, whether people are helped or not, mau lu udah ingetin berkali-kali, I think sometimes we cannot want things for other people.
Yeah. And right? We cannot save those who don't want to be saved.
Juga gitu kan. Jadi kayak kalau yang nggak bisa dibantu ya sudahlah gitu ya. I mean, do you feel a burden like you have to, I don't know.
No, I don't have
teach people.
No, not really. I don't have the saver complex, so I don't. Cuma tadi misalnya ya kayak ngingetin nih, gue mau ngasih tahu ada loh bedanya boundaries sama rule or demand misalnya. So I made a post about it. Gue bilang nih contoh boundary misalnya gini ya. Farina makan yuk babi ini tapi terus terus misalnya gue nggak makan babi. Terus gue akan bilang kayak oh sorry gue nggak bisa makan babi nih. Terus lu juga kayak oh oke, ya udah we can find something else. That's my boundary. I don't eat babi. Okay. Terus kalau misalnya rule, the difference is gue bilang gue gak makan babi, lu juga gak boleh makan babi, cause my religion says so.
Right.
Gak bisa kayak gitu dong.
Yeah.
That's a rule that I'm imposing on you because of something that I believe in. That's not a boundary. Boundary is supposed to help you feel safe and biar lebih waras lah. And it's your batasan. Batasan kan bukan berarti kita harus memaksakan ke orang.
Yeah, of course.
Nah, dari post itu aja gara-gara konteksnya babi, bukan konteks, gara-gara ngomongin contohnya babi. Konten bukan konteks ya. Itu semua ngomonginnya babi tuh haram. Gue kayak
salah tangkap kan.
Salah fokus banget ya.
Iya. Atau vegan. Kalau misalnya lu pakai contoh vegan mungkin hasilnya akan beda.
Iya,
right?
tapi
ya mungkin even vegan can be
konteksnya dong.
Yeah.
The big picture bukan cuma konten babinya.
Konteks can be lost so much ya on the internet. I think.
Udah pakai bahasa Indonesia loh padahal. Jadi emang mesti sabar-sabar aja dengan netizen yang mungkin pemahamannya atau mungkin karena udah terlalu emosi gitu. Jadi nggak bother untuk look deeper into the meaning gitu.
Nggak mau bertanya lebih jauh atau misalnya mungkin take a step back terus ngelihat dulu sebelum even respond, right? I got into trouble karena waktu pas salah satu reel yang pernah di post itu I said something about like stupid. I said the word stupid actually untuk orang-orang yang nggak mau yang merasa nggak butuh pakai koneksi mereka yang udah ada atau misalnya network atau privilege mereka yang udah gitu, right? Like maksudnya I thought it was like, look, if I had those kind of privilege, I would use it. Atau misalnya if I have those network, I would use it, gitu kan? So I said the word stupid. Oh my God, I got so much like hate back for using that. I was like, okay, maybe lesson learned. Cannot be too strongly opinionated about certain things. But at the end of the day, itulah. Maksudnya walaupun niatan itu kan mau ngebantu, tapi atau niatan mau share something yang sepositif apapun, it doesn't really matter. Right.
Well, they said ini kan the road to hell is paved
with good intentions. Yeah. Good intention doesn't mean anything, to be honest.
Right? Yeah. And speaking of good intentions, misalnya kayak we hurt somebody and then we say tapi gue maksud gue baik. Ya tapi impactnya nyakitin gue. You have to admit that what you did, what you said. Hurts them. It doesn't matter your intention apa sebenarnya. Kalau kayak gitu balik lagi harus validate lagi sih. Dan ini yang mungkin orang-orang tuh jadi kayak meng-abuse gitu ya. Hashtag sekadar mengingatkan.
Oh ada ya?
Lu mau ngingetin apa mau maksain pendapat lo?
Oh ada hashtag sekadar mengingatkan tuh ada?
Ada hashtagnya. Tapi kan intinya kayak ya kan gue cuma ngingetin aja Ci misalnya atau apa. Atau
it's not your place, right?
Also because kayak misalnya gini, gue sampai kadang-kadang kayak mengingatkan siapa. Kalau misalnya lu ngingetinnya caranya nanti lu masuk neraka, lu berbuat dosa, lu nanti datengin azab atau apa segala macam. Lu mau ngingetin siapa kalau kayak gitu? Like, do you think it's relevant for me? Kayak atau gini loh, lu ngomentarin aksi orang-orang yang sebenarnya atau pilihan hidup orang-orang yang gak ada hubungannya sama hidup lo. Pilihan dia gak ada loh ngefek kehidupan lo sama sekali. Kenapa lo marah banget? Kan bingung.
mau sekadar ngingetin juga pertama, I mean, is it really your place to remind someone of their own life choices, right?
Unsolicited,
Unless,
right?
Ya, unsolicited banget begitu. Ya, nggak ada. Back to your point, right? Nggak ada pentingnya buat lo. Nggak ada intersection sama your life juga. Dia mau ngapain, gitu kan? I mean, apa bedanya dia ada di sini sama ada di belahan dunia mana and make those kind of choices? Tapi lu gak ngingetin orang yang di sana. Why? Just because this person posted on social media? Right? So I think there's a bit of, that's interesting ya. Karena I think we talk about it tadi sedikit about this like hero complex atau maybe it's a desire to be seen or relevant atau butuh validasi juga dari netizennya kamu gitu atau misalnya dari followers kamu supaya ada respon lagi dan merasa dia benar atau whatever lah,
Dan itu and netizen tuh kayak they have taken it into their professional job untuk selalu triggered. Untuk selalu trigger dan harus selalu ngomentarin apapun opini yang dia lihat.
Dibayar juga enggak loh padahal. I mean like, wow, if you put in that much effort into your job, maybe you'll be rich. Oh
I know.
I'm gonna offend so many people, but okay. I think you didn't get here having these types of self-awareness or honesty juga without like what you said, your support system or maybe your therapist. Yeah. I think, kalau for me personally, I'm so helped by my therapist. Like I don't know if, I don't know what to do without her.
Yeah.
Ya, jadi dia kayak dia lagi cuti liburan dong. Yang stres gue.
Kapan balik?
I'm like, when are you coming back? Terus aku pakai pura-pura salah gitu, kayak jadwal ngecek doang kapan pulang.
Ini tuh kayak mama-mama yang ditinggal sama neninya. Kapan balik?
Kapan pulangnya? But maybe we talk about that a little bit. I mean, because even for me, kadang-kadang kalau misalnya I'm super open about the fact that I go to therapy all the time and mungkin buat orang-orang kayak itu bukannya masih ada yang kayak gitu. Most people udah nggak lagi merasa itu ada sesuatu hal yang tabu atau apapun gitu ya atau aneh. But what's your experience in this?
Udah mulai open juga. Cuma I feel kalau based on the conversations that I had with my followers, justru orang-orang terdekat mereka yang masih kayak ngapain sih pakai mau ke terapi, mau ke psikolog segala, emangnya lo gila atau ada masalah hidup lo berat banget. Padahal yang we have to normalize going to therapy doesn't mean kita punya masalah yang berat banget just because the fact that we have been a child. Harusnya bisa, kayaknya semua orang yang pernah jadi anak harus terapi deh.
Which is everybody.
Yeah, which is everybody. Karena in one way or the other, I believe
dan
we are all
semua netizen yang suka komen yang aneh-aneh.
Yeah,
especially them, please. I mean,
dan menurut gue, because we have been a child, we are a child. Jadi kayak,
well, you have a lot of experience as a child, and a lot of those things haven't been reconciled until today.
Right? Yeah, and also because I believe, to some extent, we are all fucked up in our own ways.
Yeah.
And jadi gue tuh yang selalu ngobrol ke teman-teman gue kayak, well, we all have parents gitu. Jadi kayak, no matter what you do, no matter what your parenting style is, pasti anaknya jadinya fucked up in some certain ways. Doesn't mean that lu being dysfunctional nggak bisa function in society juga sih. It doesn't mean that. Cuma kayak pasti ada to some degree, and that's why you need therapy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, orang-orang kayak kita yang akhirnya jadi bayar lebih mahal untuk therapy.
But also like, this like degree of fucked upness itu juga there's a spectrum ya. Jangan orang pikir tuh kita mesti di abuse dulu baru kita fucked up. No, it's actually not that, right? Karena apa? Karena sebagai anak, waktu kita masih jadi anak kecil, we don't know things any better. Kita hanya punya 1-2 orang that we look up to for validation, for approval, for security, for a sense of safety, for a sense of belonging, for love. And our parents are not perfect. Jadi mereka juga nggak bisa kasih semuanya yang mungkin kita butuh pada saat itu. And as soon as that happen, itu experience-nya jadi it's something yang kita think it's the world or the reality, right? Jadi misalnya
it's familiar.
Yeah, it's familiar. Jadi kayak gue waktu itu mungkin kayak luka, jatuh, I look around, orang tua gue nggak ada, and then nggak ada yang ngobatin luka gue, sementara nih lutut gue udah berdarah, right? And then what? And then oh my God, I feel so scared when I was 4 years old and that happened to me. Terus, oh ternyata gue mau teriak-teriak segimana, gue nggak ada yang nolongin gue ya.
Terus gedenya jadi hyper independent.
Yeah, exactly. So then I have to take care of myself and whatever. I mean, it can be so many things ya.
Yeah. And also with that experience itself, misalnya ya, itu kan responsnya banyak banget. Let's say tadi kasusnya nobody's around to help you. Atau ada juga misalnya yang punya parents akhirnya kayak, kok bisa jatuh sih malah nyalahin.
Yeah.
Itu nanti jadinya apa lagi?
Beda lagi.
Atau kayak misalnya nggak nyalahin sih, tapi kayak overprotective banget sampai akhirnya mungkin nyalahin
takut.
benda.
Iya, right. Jadi
ini salah nih mejanya nih, nyalain lagi. Jadi beda banget sih.
Again, I think the parents sometimes also feel like they are doing
their best,
right? And they are, maksudnya ini udah the best that I know how. And again, it's good intention. Tapi ya namanya anak kecil belum ngerti dunia itu seperti apa, doesn't understand any of the spectrums, doesn't understand. And also remember that when you're a child, the center of the world is you.
Yeah.
Everything happens and revolves around you. Kita belum ada perspektif yang lebih beda. Jadi, and these things, if you don't think about it or you don't process it as an adult, you carry this forever, right?
And then you unpack that in a relationship.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Jadi two wounded people nih, trying their best to be in a relationship, gimana ya? Makanya emang ya, I cannot recommend enough ya, therapy itu important buat everyone.
Yeah. Tapi gue sering ditanya ya kalau ada pertanyaan, kita lagi ngobrolin therapy kayak gini, and people will ask me is like, oh, can I have a recommendation of a therapist? Itu, gue kemana ya gitu? What do you answer to that?
Gue biasanya refer to my own therapist, which is Nur Handayani. Dia adanya di International Wellbeing Center. Dan kalau misalnya untuk couples therapy itu ke Anna Dauhan.
Okay.
She's just the best.
Oh, beda.
What
so you have two different therapists.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I could have only one. Tapi katanya ternyata nggak bisa. Gue udah bias nanti, katanya gitu.
Oh gitu.
Nanti aku udah keburu bias. Karena kan aku udah dengar semua cerita kamu. Terus nanti tiba-tiba ada orang baru di sini. Jadi better to have somebody yang masih neutral. What about you?
No, I have one therapist for all. Karena my husband also goes to the same therapist. Terus aku juga personally I go to her as my therapist. Dia juga go to her for his therapist. Terus then when we have couples counseling, it's with her. Jadi dia udah ada segala macam konteks gitu. I mean, it's not even about the context because I think and even when
very convenient sih.
Iya, itu enak sih. Terus when she she's a straight shooter, then dia will just call it as it is gitu, which I like because I know that there are people who like therapists yang mungkin lebih objektif atau misalnya lebih stay behind the problems ya. Kalau my therapist actually jump into the problem solving mode and actually will call me out. It's like, oh Farina, you're being passive aggressive.
Yeah,
Farina, that if I replay it back to you, this is how you sound like, and imagine how he would feel about this, right? When you're being passive aggressive like that.
That's very helpful because jadi ada accountability juga nggak sih? Karena kayaknya nggak semua orang sih berani untuk kayak gitu. Karena itu menempatkan posisi di mana biasa kayak orang Indonesia kan nggak enak kan?
Iya nggak enak. Iya. So actually my therapist takes sides. So it's like I don't care about being biased or not biased, but like look, that's very shitty of you to do that, right? That's not good for the other person. I'm like, yeah, fair enough, Jadi kayak emang dia take sides. She also will call you out on your bullshit karena you have a lot of bullshit. And then so she will call you out. I actually used to give out my therapist's name. Tapi karena makin lama schedule-nya makin susah.
Ya bro,
I don't
gatekeep
do
kan?
it. Yeah, jadi gue udah gak ngasih lagi sekarang. Karena, and then also I have a problem. She's very good and if I refer them to a friend, terus temen gue yang cerita kemana-mana, oh my God. Jadi kayak makin susah lagi dapet jadwalnya.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I agree.
You know what? Do your own research and then go to, all these sources. for me, this is how I do it. Actually, because I read a lot of like psychology books gitu ya. Terus I found that this one book by Richard Schwartz called No Bad Parts. So he is the founder of IFS, Internal Family Systems Therapy. Nah, jadi gue tuh biasanya baca buku-buku kayak gini, atau misalnya like if you're looking for couples counseling, ada The Gottmans, ada siapa lagi yang paling gue suka, Terence Real for example, atau misalnya si
Esther Perel,
Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. So if you like these books and you like those approaches, biasanya gue akan go to their website, dia punya tuh list of therapists di mana-mana di seluruh dunia tuh ada. Nah, itulah lo cobain satu-satu gitu, yang mana yang metodologinya yang paling lo nyambung gitu. Because I think
cocok-cocokan sih memang.
Cocok-cocokan juga, sama ada terapis yang emang ya lo bisa sama dia, tapi sama orang lain mungkin nggak pas gitu loh. Atau mungkin yang orang ini benar-benar cocok banget sama lo nggak gitu kan. Jadi I think you should explore and you should read into some of these methodologies. Mungkin ada yang cocok, ada yang enggak juga.
Dan jangan don't give up easily, in the sense that kalau emang ketemu satu atau dua yang gak cocok, jangan kayak terapi gini doang, isinya cuma ngobrol curhat doang, gak penting buang duit. No, you just haven't found the right therapist for you. Itu aja sih.
Dan sering banget yang kayak gitu. Jadi karena mungkin just to go to a therapist aja tuh udah it's a leap a mental leap. Kalau belum pernah sama sekali, mereka takut, they are afraid to be seen, atau takut ngomong kayak gini nanti gimana nanti, atau takut merasakan perasaannya. Ada orang yang nggak mau mau ngomongin, supaya karena kalau ngomong pasti nangis, kalau ngomong pasti marah gitu. Jadi it's for them, they don't want to experience
avoidance.
They're avoiding.
Tapi ada juga sebenarnya yang nanti dibawa overthinking gitu, kayak nanti gue ngomongnya gimana nih, mesti mulai dari mana. It's their job to figure it out. Right. Just come. And be open about it. That's it. And then if it doesn't fit you, then find another person. Right? Ini penting sih, karena banyak banget, bener banget kayak kamu bilang, kayak ada orang tuh udah nyoba 1 kali 2 kali, tiba-tiba nggak cocok, they won't go again, right? Atau they wouldn't find the right person. And it takes it's a journey, and jodoh-jodohan lah ya namanya juga. It's like apapun lah, itu kan jodoh ya. Banget.
I feel like I'm jodoh with my therapist.
Gue juga. Dan
I love her.
Dan yang mungkin perlu diingat, ada orang-orang yang bilang, tapi kan aku nggak ada duit, Ci. Gimana kalau mau ke terapi? Do your research, itu bisa pakai BPJS.
That's good information.
Again, do your research, because actually ada banyak banget service yang gratis. Gratisnya nggak cuma online, mau ketemu langsung juga ada gitu loh. Jadi please do your own research, karena Google is your best friend.
That's fair enough. That's really, really good. I remember when I first went to therapy, itu waktu aku masih tinggal di Kanada sih actually, and it was covered by my insurance, because otherwise it was $300 per hour. It's so expensive. Mahal banget, gak kuat. So I was like, untung di cover sama asuransi. So I was that's how I started actually. But do you do anything else to maintain your sanity or your well-being?
Just talk to my partner usually.
All right. Do you meditate or do anything else?
Unfortunately, no, I do not meditate, even though I might need to try meditating. Tapi so far sih, I find it boring. Mungkin belum ketemu aja kali ya.
Sama juga ya, belum ketemu style yang pas. Karena itu juga stylenya juga macam-macam.
And journaling actually.
Journaling should.
Journaling with the right prompts. Jadi nggak cuma word vomit aja. Tapi what helps you clarify things and how you feel, and gini loh ya kan, kita kan juga perlu reality check, in the sense that okay, we feel what we feel. However, is the reality kayak yang kita pikirin? Soalnya kayak ngomongin soal reality gitu, banyak banget kita we give our own narratives. Narratives gitu kan. Jadi misalnya kayak nih conversation aja, mungkin kalau gue lagi not in the right mindset, ntar gue bisa mikirnya, Farina kok ngomong kayak gitu sih?
Maaf ya. I'm sorry.
Enggak, tapi itu pentingnya untuk gue belajar in relationship, itu penting, relationship with anybody itu pentingnya untuk kita clarify juga dong, kayak what do you mean by that? Jangan cuma assume aja Farina orangnya
kayak gitu ya.
Kayak gitu deh. suka gibah ternyata di podcast ya. Enggak,
Yes.
tapi
No, okay.
it's important for us to actually ask those things and from curiosity juga sih. Jadi kayak kok ngomongnya kayak gitu tadi? Can you clarify atau maybe gue yang nangkapnya salah nih gitu in a relationship.
Right.
Karena nggak usah in a relationship deh, netizen juga banyak yang gitu. Mereka baca statement apa, terus dikasih narasi sendiri, jadi projecting dan akhirnya bumbu-bumbunya tuh banyak gitu, bumbu-bumbu personalnya banyak. Padahal dude itu jauh banget maksudnya dari yang lu pikirin.
Wow, I am also like, cause I'm a bit of a people pleaser. Jadi kayak
I think to some degree everybody is lah.
Yeah, but I'm probably a little bit more to like, I don't like saying no to people. It takes so much out of me to set my boundaries. Jadi kayak I had grown just by setting the right boundaries, saying no, having some time for myself. Jadi kayak catering to my own need versus other people's needs gitu ya. And I see people like you, and your answers to people, I'm like, wow, this person cannot give a shit. Maksudnya not in a good way, right? Like, wow, she doesn't give a shit. This is so awesome. I feel quite empowered, to be honest.
Soalnya gini, kalau gue ngomong ke teman gue bilang kayak look at your bank account. Itu berkurang nggak dengan dia ngomong kayak gitu? Faktanya sih enggak sih. Terus gue kayak ya udah, so kenapa gue harus upset banget? Padahal ya nggak bikin gue miskin juga. Misalnya nih orang ya udah sih kecuali. Iya gitu sih. You get my point.
Wow. Okay. I also saw that. I don't know if this is part of you maintaining your well-being or sanity atau ini emang karena kamu content creator terus bisa jalan-jalan terus. But I love the fact that you do diving lah, hiking, all of that, skiing. You learn new stuff, right? Like, is this part? I mean, do you just like it atau itu hobi atau ini kerjaan atau what do you do?
Gue lebih gini loh, tipenya usually every year I would make a list of the things that I would want to learn that year. Or like the places that I would want to go to, cause YOLO, you only live once, man.
Yeah.
And mungkin sekarang gue kebetulan lagi punya duitnya, lagi punya waktunya. I have all the resources that could help me make it happen gitu. Jadi kenapa gue harus nunda-nunda daripada nanti 10 tahun lagi, 20 tahun lagi gue udah nggak tahu gitu loh nanti kejadiannya gimana. So the things that I have a list itu misalnya includes misalnya the things that I want to learn misalnya skiing, diving atau free diving, even languages. I would wanna relearn French misalnya kayak gitu. Jadi I make it as a goal ya. For me, it helps me grow as a person. Jadi buat gue sih resolusi itu orang kan I don't know if people still make New Year's resolution. I don't know about you.
Well, I don't. I do have goals. I mean, I don't know if that's the same way with resolutions. Tapi also I'm like you, so I actually I learn a lot of new skills. I mean, in the last like 1 year, I started playing tennis, terus relearning golf, and then I also took up diving. Walaupun buat gue itu penderitaan sih sebenarnya. I don't know. I mean, you seem to be very calm when you're. It's not about the diving itself, but actually I have major motion sickness. Jadi gue tuh kalau diving, I'm not kidding, gue turun berat badan mungkin bisa 3-4 kilo.
Oh ya?
Yeah, not because I try, like it's because I threw up every time. Jadi gue muntah di jalan on the way ke tempatnya. Apalagi itu kayak di Bali tuh yang kayak Ketulamben atau mana itu kan jalannya aja udah berkelok-kelok gitu. Itu gue udah muntah. Nyebur gue udah muntah. And then if I'm on a boat, I will be throwing up. And then terus nyemplung baru loncat aja di permukaan, gue muntah sekali lagi. And then sometimes I have to like blow out my
That's so really exhausting.
Gross. It's so exhausting. Terus gue masuk, nah kalau di dalam gue gak apa-apa. Tapi begitu gue naik, gue muntah lagi. And then I was on the boat, and then jadi gue bisa sampai benar-benar udah gak ada isinya. I mean, I'm sorry, this is like really gross. But and then I lost so much. But then people are like, why do you do it? Yeah, why you still do it? I think it's because I really like the water. Yeah, I actually
worth it.
Yeah, to me, the pain and the suffering versus actually being in the water, ya masih lebih enak di airnya gitu loh. Masih bisa lah, I handle. I mean, it's not so I can't do it every week, but, maybe like a few times a year, it's okay.
Yeah, kalau buat gue tuh lebih kayak, gue anaknya gini sih. kalau dia bisa kenapa gue enggak? Jadi gue anaknya penasaran and quite competitive in that sense maybe ya. Kayak kok dia bisa kenapa gue enggak ya? Kenapa gue susah banget? Dan gue struggle, gue akan marah-marah di awal. I would be bitching like crazy. Tapi at the end gue kayak, turns out gue bisa kok. Turns out I could conquer that fear misalnya. Karena I believe, ini gue gak tahu ya, actually ini udah discuss sama therapist gue. I do not remember whether I actually drowned as a kid, nearly drowned, or did it actually, or sebenarnya itu just a belief because maybe gue lihat itu di movie dan I adopted it as my own experience. Gue nggak tahu.
Karena lo takut gitu tenggelam.
Yes. Anyway, however, my therapist bilang, ya tapi kan perasaannya the fear itu real regardless of apa yang backgroundnya itu.
Right.
Nah itu yang bikin gue waktu itu sempat panic attack di diving segala macam. Dan jadi I went through all that. Tapi akhirnya kayak wow ternyata once I got through it, it's not that bad. Jadi mungkin I like to push myself to the edge juga untuk kayak akhirnya actually I can do that. Ya ini sama kayak gini loh. Waktu itu jadi gue ke Slovenia sama my partner and his family. And then gue kayak ada ini ledge gitu, itu ledge-nya dia bekas kayak fortress gitu, tapi ruins gitu loh. Tapi kan tetap tinggi ya. And pas gue jalan ke sana, gue tuh pengen foto keren aja sih sebenarnya. Tapi pas gue jalan, gue baru sadar gue panic attack di situ. Dan the thing is kalau gue panic attack, gue biasanya just cry, diem, hyperventilating sendiri. Dan gue kayak I just froze, nggak tahu mau ngapain. Dan di situ gue baru realize ternyata sama kayak diving, waktu pas gue panic attack, gue tuh takut sama depths, which means kalau depth kan ke dalam, ini kan height sama aja ya, jatuh ke bawah. Jadi gue panik banget. Dan in that situation, I was calling out from my partner gitu. Si Joe tuh kayak dia lagi tough love gue, man. Dia bukannya kayak langsung datang ke gue untuk selamatin atau segala macam, enggak. But he was cheering me, kayak reassuring me from ujung sana.
Yeah,
I know.
That sounds so stressful. Gue aja dengerinnya.
It was so stressful. Tapi kayak he managed to calm me down. And then akhirnya gue bisa balik on my own safely segala macam. And then I cried again. Tapi maksudnya kayak actually it was hell. I do not want to put myself in that position again. However, if I'm ever in that position, I can do it. Gue bisa, even though gue pakai nangis-nangis dulu.
Yeah.
Bisa.
Right.
Tapi gue nangis dulu pasti.
So stepping back to you learn new things, right? Misalnya kayak you make a list of like the things that you're gonna learn. Nah, ini kayak and you do it because you're a competitive person in a way, you wanna grow as a person juga gitu kan. Have you always been like that? I mean, have you always been competitive since you were a kid or?
No, not really. At first gue mikirnya kayaknya gue terlalu laid back deh. Kayak gue gak punya. Dibilang punya ambition, tadinya mungkin gue pikir kayaknya gue anaknya biasa aja. Kayak gak punya ambisi, kayak gak tahu mau ngapain gitu. Tapi ternyata enggak juga sih. And I'm actually grateful for that. Karena gue jadinya I keep pushing myself untuk cobain new things. Even though it puts me in an uncomfortable position, tapi kayak apparently ya bisa. Nah, jadi in a relationship pun akhirnya bukannya dicari-cari atau kayak diada-adain, tapi adalah in uncomfortable position that mungkin akhirnya gue put myself through just because gue mau belajar sesuatu dari itu aja sih. Kayak turns out gue bisa belajar dari hal ini, gue bisa ambil sisi positif dan we can actually grow better as a couple in a relationship.
Look, I can completely relate to that. Maksudnya there is something about doing something you're afraid of, right? I'm not talking just a relationship ya, tapi tadi misalnya kayak you jalan di pinggir jurang atau you know diving atau apapun itu. At the end of the day, it's when you are facing your fear, when you're putting yourself in a position di mana sesuatu itu sulit banget, like misalnya kayak daki gunung lah atau you know you join a marathon, para belum pernah, you know things like that, right? You don't know that you are capable to do that as a human being, and you push your limit, you push your limit as or the ceiling as you know as you're a person, kayak sebagai orang gitu yang kayak tadinya nggak bisa jadi bisa. I don't know, there's something so addictive about that. And not addictive only ya, tapi maksudnya kayak it's so empowering.
Empowering, yes, that's the word.
And it makes you like wow, I know I can do so much more. Kayak gue pertama kali ngedaki Rinjani. That
That's
was
not
like,
easy.
Oh my God, it was so hard. It was like 2 years ago, I think. Dan latihannya agak-agak kurang sih. Emang bukan yang gimana, you know, I mean, I'm not a hiker at all. Terus tahu sendiri ya Rinjani kan kayak gini. The slope
I gave
is
up,
like
man.
this. And then terus naik 2 langkah, turun 1 langkah. It's like, ini kapan majunya? Nggak nyampe-nyampe gitu kan. And I did it with my partner, with my husband. Oh my God, he was also like not happy about the whole thing. Kita udah pakai berantem, udah pakai nggak tahu. Tadi udah mau pulang kali salah satunya, right? Like it's like they say like, you know, Rinjani will
really test you
as a couple.
Yeah.
And then when you do it, and when you finally did it, gue juga nangis. Nangisnya karena oh my God, it's finally over.
Yeah. got that part over with. Tinggal turun aja.
Yeah, I was like finally I'm here. Terus gue tapi I remember after that, gue jadi kayak, wow, kalau gue aja bisa climb Rinjani, apalah masalah-masalah cash flow di kantor, apalah masalah ini itu ya kan, apalah masalah belum dapat deal yang ini yang itu. It does make everything a lot easier.
Yeah, because
right?
it's a mental thing juga.
Yeah,
aside from you pushing yourself physically, tapi emang mental thing ya.
It's mentally,
mostly.
right? Yeah. I learned that karena gue baru belajar tenis juga setahun nih, and you know I'm 40 years old, so you know I learn now how to play tennis. Tapi kan tentunya beda ya sama orang yang dari kecil udah bisa main tenis ya. And I joined this competition, and so for the first time I'm actually playing competitive matches on tennis. I know, but mentally, like you learn so much about yourself.
Yeah.
Dimana kayak you are facing your fear. Karena, you know, there's an opponent there. Ada lawan gitu kan. Lawannya kita nggak kenal siapa. And you put something, you know, you put the skin in the game. Jadi kayak you put something about yourself there, right? Like whether you can do it or not gitu. Jadi gue kayak, I learned at my first match, oh my God, gue tuh takut banget kalah. I'm playing because I'm so afraid to lose. Jadi kayak gue taruh bolanya tuh kayak yaudah asal masuk deh gitu. Karena gue takut banget, takut salah, takut kalah gitu ya. So I didn't even play to win. So there's two different mentality, right? When you're playing to just win it and like you're aggressive and you want to crush it versus you're being scared. Karena it's all about facing the fear in your head, right? And I was like, wow, I actually learned something new at 40 that this then it actually translates to a lot of things in your life. Maksudnya nggak cuma ya emang gue kan bukan bakal jadi Nadal atau Djokovic ya. I mean, you know how much money you get when you win this whole thing? I don't know, maybe like di bawah 1 juta kali. You know what I mean? It's like
it's not for the money.
It's not for sure you didn't do it because of the money, right? You do it because of something else.
Yeah. And also tadi about being feeling empowered after conquering your fears segala macam, itu menurut gue kayak banyak orang yang gak berani keluar dari comfort zone-nya juga karena a lot of people they actually underestimate themselves juga kayak enggak lah gue kan gak bisa. And berlaku gak cuma hiking doang, kayak di kerjaan atau trying out something new.
It's the self narratives that you were talking about.
Iya, dan itu self-limiting self-limiting beliefs banget kan. Kayak enggak, gue gak bisa, mana mungkin sih gue gini.
Gue gak pernah dari dulu, gue bukan atlet atau gue bukan orang yang suka olahraga atau gue bukan, I'm not a fit person.
Atau mau jadi entrepreneur atau gue mau bikin produk ini, whatever. Kayak enggak deh, gak mungkin
I'm not a content creator, ngapain gue ada di situ, why would I expose myself, right?
Yeah, like, now if only you'd be willing to just try to push yourself a little farther, mungkin ternyata it's not so bad. Dan juga makanya itu menurut gue kayak approach life with curiosity juga sih, kayak gitu. Emang gue bisanya apa sih? Masa gue gak bisa sih?
Iya, masa lo gak bisa sih?
Iya, lebih kayak daripada bilang kayak aduh gue mana bisa sih. Masa gue gak bisa gitu.
Also I think it's like, you know, I learned this also from playing competitive matches ya on tenis ya. Kayak gue sadar it's never about the results. Bukan tentang gue bisa mendaki gunung atau enggak, gue bisa finish maraton atau enggak, gue bisa menang atau enggak dalam tenis match ini gitu. Kayak I actually don't really, mean, you know, I'm not a professional athlete, so you know, bukan masalah menang kalahnya. Karena itu at the end of the day, of course gue happy banget lah ya kalau gue bisa menang. Gue gak pernah menang, by the way. I've never won. Belum. Gue belum pernah menang. Nah, terus tapi it makes a difference the process and how you were when you're doing it, right? Jadi kalau gue main tapi karena gue takut and I I wasn't being myself, gue nggak main seperti gue yang gue tahu gitu, I feel bad about it. Jadi setelah selesai gue malah kayak kenapa tadi gue mainnya kayak gitu ya, gue kan nggak kayak gitu sebenarnya. You know, tapi kalau misalnya gue kalah, tapi gue main like I'm just being myself, I know I'm giving it my best. Yeah, and I'm like I feel great. You know, I'm like wow, good job. Like maksudnya kayak yes, at least I play like myself. So it's also about you embracing being you. It's much more important than the outcome.
Yeah,
you know?
And also mungkin being vulnerable and accepting the fact that ya udah apapun yang lu lakukan mungkin hasilnya nggak akan sesuai sama yang lu mau, and it's okay. Kalau misalnya tadi nggak cuma ngomong tentang competitive matches juga, mungkin kita naik gunung atau mungkin cobain bikin usaha baru. Terus kalau akhirnya gagal, ya udah, at least you gave it a try. You didn't know kan itu bakal gagal apa bakal jadi kalau lu nggak lakuin sama sekali. So yeah, it's always a good thing to try something new, and maybe it could be a reminder mumpung masih bulan Maret, masih awal. Ini bulan Maret apa bulan apa sih? Udah mau April ya?
Ini di bulan Maret.
Ya tapi ini intinya masih the first quarter.
Mungkin ini nggak di post bulan Maret ya, by the way ya. Okay. But you do have a lot of chances to, you know,
you try something new as long as you still breathing.
Yeah, and plus I think also like you can always try something new the next day, right? Nggak usah nunggu sampai tanggal 1 Januari. Right?
Not telling you to get a divorce now, but it's different.
Look, I enjoy this conversation. If the netizen nonton ini terus emang benar-benar suka, I would love to have you to come back and we can talk about all other stuff. But tell us, like, what is next for you?
Focusing more on being an entrepreneur, I think.
On your content creation business?
No, I actually have 2 other companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. One is a skincare thing, and another one is a feminine wellness thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's
so
actually,
you're also focusing on that.
Yeah. We actually have an e-pharmacy and a women's health clinic coming up this year, hopefully. Well, it's Fillmore.
Oh, under Fillmore.
Yeah,
so
under Fillmore.
Okay. Cool. So you're focusing on that.
Yeah. And we have been fundraising juga, so we'll see. It's mostly my partner, Gita Amelia, but yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Very interesting to dive into this new territory lah.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about that next time. Anything else that we haven't talked about that you wanted probably to share with people?
Not really, unless you you have another episode.
Okay. Well, maybe next episode we're gonna talk something else, including entrepreneurship, maybe relationship, maybe our lessons learned after 6 months after this.
Yeah. Turns out I'm wrong.
Yeah. Which happens all the time for me.
Yeah, and it's okay to admit that you're wrong. It's fine.
Yep. Okay, last thing. We have this thing called the rapid fire question. So whatever first thing came into your mind. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, pretty nervous
siap-siap
here.
Ya. Okay, ini santai dulu deh. Minuman favorit kamu apa?
Bubble tea.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Anything sugary.
You eat a lot of sugar?
Yeah.
Or drink? Nice. Morning routine kamu setelah bangun tidur harus ngapain?
Check my phone. No, that's a bad habit. But the thing is, I usually wake up in the morning rushed. Jadi langsung to
go
my activity.
Gitu
ya.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Unfortunately.
What do you do for fun?
Sleep.
Wow. Okay.
It's a luxury, okay?
Yeah. Trust me. This week aku ada hari di mana I only slept for 2 hours. Oh my God. I felt so sick, and I was like,
is this
2 hours? 2 hours of sleep really ruins you? And it turns out, yes. The answer is yes. Okay. Buku yang menurut kamu semua orang harus baca?
Regretting Motherhood.
Okay. Tell us about that.
It's about this. Pokoknya this author, dia interview like 40 Israeli women about motherhood dan kenapa mereka regret misalnya.
Wow.
Dan di situ gue belajar bahwa 2 contradicting facts itu bisa coexist loh. Like misalnya gini, I love my child so much, but if I could go back in time, I would not have him.
Right. And those things can coexist.
Yeah. I love motherhood, but I also regret being a mother, and it's fine.
Yeah, and I think holding two different types of opinions that can actually coexist, yang most people think it's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
Itu sesuatu yang menurut aku it's a skill ya, dan gak semua orang bisa gitu loh. They don't think like, oh, I love this person, tapi gue udah gak bisa sama dia lagi, jadi gue putus. Tapi I love him.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that can coexist.
Yeah.
That you don't have to pick one. Right?
Yeah.
You can also just have both opinions.
Yeah, and I think misalnya gini ya, struggling mothers gitu, I believe motherhood is not easy, obviously. Dan ini penting banget menurut gue kalau emang bisa dapet dan akses dan untuk baca buku Regretting Motherhood ini, bukannya untuk gimana ya, tapi kayak mungkin give you encouragement juga sih, kayak it's okay to feel regret, nggak usah berasa kayak berasa bersalah banget, ya karena it's hard, it's not easy. Who says it's easy?
Nobody says it's easy.
Yeah, makanya.
Yeah. Well, some of the most meaningful things in life are not easy. That's probably why.
But it's worth having.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. App di HP dan ya yang kamu nggak bisa hidup.
Bluebird, man.
Really? Wow. All right.
Everywhere Bluebird, man.
What is the most important thing to you in your life? Yang paling penting dalam hidup?
Oh wow, kalau paling penting tuh kayak satu banget ya. Kayaknya agak susah ya jawabnya ya. I want to say my partner, but then no, it should be me. But then, dude, ini rapid fire question macam apa sih? Gue pengen nabrak nih. Kenapa pertanyaan susah banget gitu?
Susah ya, maaf ya.
Yang paling penting, gila. Susah kan jawabnya, gue belum kejawab nih.
Belum kejawab. It's okay. It's alright. It can be all of them. That's fine. The worst piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Have kids.
Okay. The best piece of advice you've ever gotten?
Don't have kids.
Wow.
Enggak. Anjir, ntar ini banyak yang nyerang gue. Enggak.
The most valuable lesson you've ever learned?
Oh, that it's okay to hit rock bottom and come back up.
Nice. On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you?
Right now, it's like maybe 12.
Nice. Okay.
Right now. Might change after this.
I'm happy for you. Maybe last one. Lagu yang paling sering di-play di playlist kamu apa?
Oh my God. These days, it's Built to Last.
By?
Malay.
Okay.
It's an old song.
All right. Okay, maybe last question. Why don't you drink coffee? Because we're in over coffee right now.
Okay, so I do not drink coffee and I do not drink alcohol, but mainly because they're bitter.
Oh, you don't like the bitter taste. Jadi kalau pakai gula?
Bisa, tapi I still prefer not to.
Okay.
I can.
Bubble tea.
Yeah, I can, but doesn't mean that I want to. Gitu aja sih.
Yeah.
Kalau emang harus banget bisa.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Andrea, for coming to our studio today. I had
Thank you so much
time.
for having me.
I hope nggak bosen-bosen dikasih rapid fire yang sulit.
Ditodong loh ini loh. Jadi kayak kan nervous kita jadinya keringetan.
But this is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Farina. I learned so much from you as well.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye semuanya.